Hello and welcome to another episode of the Monster Truck Times. I'm a bit late with this one, but I'm finally getting it out. If you're wondering why it's late, I'll leave it at depression and burnout. So without further ado, let's talk about the World Finals. Let's start off with night one, starting with the rain. A storm came through and delayed the first night by about an hour, while the track crew very impressively worked out all the problems caused by the rain and got the track to nearly 100%. They decided to get the encore done first to make sure it would not be affected later in the night by future weather. The encore was the Monster Jam stunt truck driven by Tom Meents attempting a forward momentum reverse backflip. Tom had it almost perfect until he bounced off the rear tires and rolled over. Nevertheless, it was amazing to watch. Next was racing. Racing was very good, especially for the amount of rain they just got beforehand. Surprisingly, no major crashes and only two small incidents on the over-under ramps. One with Nick Pagliaro and Kraken landing off-center only slightly, and Weston Anderson landing on the side of the ramp. The major issue of the night on this track was slick turns that sent many drivers into the turning mounts on the turns. The semifinals consisted of Ryan Anderson and Son of a Digger taking out Tristan England and Earthshaker, and Brandon Vincent in Gravedigger taking out Tyler Menninga in Gravedigger. The highlight of the night came when the finals took place. A tremendous downpour started with severe winds and a tornado warning. Brandon Vincent and Ryan Anderson staged and took off, barely able to see through the storm. In the final time around, Ryan cuts a tire on the side of the ramp while Brandon comes off the over-under and spins into the wall. Brandon corrects to the finish and is your 2022 Racing World Champion. Scales was next, but due to the storm, was moved to Sunday. The track was rebuilt overnight, and I have to say, I was very impressed. I really did not expect the crew to do as an amazing job as they did with this track. It literally looked like the storm the night before never took place. First competition of the night was the Scales Challenge. Postponed from night one. Because of the postpone, it gave some positives and some negatives. One of both was that each driver was only allowed one attempt. This is a mixed bag for me personally. For one, I tend to find skills more boring than other competitions and think it would have lasted a bit too long if they got the supposed 4 attempts they were originally going to have. But a negative to the drivers themselves was that only one attempt meant that if you messed up your attempt, you were done. This is what happened to Camden Murphy and Bakugan Dragonoid when he tried to get a stoppie off the APAC. Though yes, he did get one, it was not the full stunt that he had in mind. Another difference because of the delay was that the competition was held on the second day track, to which I am not sure if this would be a positive, negative, or neither. We will talk about the track more later on, but back to skills. Tyler Menninga and Gravedigger did a combo of moonwalks, but I believe that once the tires all landed with no momentum left from the first stoppie was the end of the judged run. My personal highlight of the skills challenge was Ryan Anderson and Son of a Digger with his amazing bicycle to roll over to sidewall to save. But in the end, Tom Meents and Max D is your winner of the skills challenge with a moonwalk off of the backflip container into a landed reverse backflip. Next was the high jump challenge. There's not really much to touch on here since it is a fairly simple competition to run. Jim Kohler and Tyler Duke both rolled over after their attempts, and from what I can tell from the views I saw in video, Cynthia Gauthier and Tom Meents both broke tie rods. Please correct me if I'm wrong on this. This did lead to a discussion between fans that maybe the drivers should have to stick their landings for their attempts to count. This I don't think I agree with, as high jump is such a high impact competition in nature that the risk reward would affect their performance too much, in my opinion. Christian Anderson had the weakest jump of the competition, from the truck kind of just stuffing into the ramp, killing all momentum of the hit. Cynthia Gauthier was not able to defend her high jump championship, and the 2022 high jump champion is Ryan Anderson and Son of a Digger. Before freestyle, I'd like to talk about the track. It was on the more positive side, I'd say, especially for the weather they had to deal with. I think they sculpted a great track from whatever they could get out of that rain-filled goop. I mentioned that I wanted at least a bus stack and a few crush cars, and they delivered. I did wish that they added a few more crush cars, like on the far side of the track or in the other lane, but that's about it. It looks like they wanted to put another pod on the far side, but didn't have enough dirt, so they just put this weird circle thing in there. To be fair, it somehow delivered. More on that later. They had a nice large jump in the center along with an arena pod on the near side. One thing I miss, but probably has gone the way of the dodo, sadly, is the fountain. I think the last time we saw it was in Vegas, and I think we are probably sadly never going to see it again. Somehow the track actually wasn't too cluttered, even though they stacked it with obstacles. It actually worked very well. The only other main problem I have, and this is a personal pet peeve, is the abundance of backflip ramps. Personally, I think Monster Jam relies on backflips too much anyway, but I think it's silly to have two on one wall, two on the other, a backflip on the bus stack, and the 8-pack on the arena pod. Other than that, the track was good. Let's move on to freestyle. The freestyle competition was very strong this year, with a lot of action, and having a panel of professional judges did definitely help, but in the end, I will admit it was not perfect. Not that I hated it, and it was better than fan judging alone, even though it was mixed in with it, but I will talk about what I mean later. Freestyle had a lot of great saves and combos. Most drivers either completed or almost completed their runs, with a few exceptions, including Nick Pagliaro and Kraken, who broke early, Brandon Vincent and Gravedigger, who broke a wheel off the first jump, ending his run, and Tristan England, who broke early. Highlights included Todd LeDuc's run, John Gordon's backflip into wheelie, Mark List's backflip into stoppie, Jamie Garner's save, Cole Venard's run, and Charlie Pockett's massive save. In the end, your winner was Tom Meents and Max D, which is where I'll knock the judging a bit. Mostly, it seemed fair, but I don't think Tom should have won. Personally, I think Todd or Charlie should have won. Charlie had a great run with a backwards move and that amazing save. By the way, this is what I was talking about when I said that circle of dirt paid off. Charlie landed on that mount, causing the truck to hit sideways and go into that save. And Todd, let's talk about Todd. Most of his run was good, but it became great when he hit that backflip, flipped it again, and saved it again. Then he pulled the rabbit out of the hat with full speed and momentum, even adding another amazing save at the end. Tom had a good run, best parts being the reverse wheelie across the floor and the other save in the far corner, but the run was good at best and lacked the momentum and all-out insanity of Todd LeDuc's run. Other than that, freestyle was great, one of the best in years. Finally, we have the Gravedigger 40th Anniversary Encore. It was good. I don't really have much to say. Multiple body styles and a jump over 5 diggers. I'm not much of an encore guy, so that's really all I have to say. One more thing. I have to say, I called it. I was right. Okay, let me back up. Remember a few videos ago, I said that the last unfilled spot in the later tour dates was probably going to be a truck unveiled at the World Finals? Well, I was right, because Velociraptor was unveiled at the World Finals with David Oldfort behind the wheel and will fill those slots. In conclusion, was it the best World Finals ever? In my opinion, no. That title still belongs to World Finals 9, but this was an amazing World Finals this year, even with its struggles with the weather. Hell, the final race in the rain was the absolute highlight of the weekend. In my opinion, I'd say this was probably the best World Finals probably since 2013. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.